A brand new week and a brand new knockout stage. This is the Summer Showdown. I'm looking forward to it, Hex. We've got some spicy games coming up. We've got a rematch and maybe a secret special player coming in for the fuel. We'll have to wait and see, of course, in just a moment. My name is Jaws, of course, joined by Hex as always. Winners here, Hex, will advance to the quarter-finals, where their opponents who are already going to be there actually get to choose who they want to play up against. It's all to play for as well. Let's get into the first match racing.
Yeah, we got Dallas versus Paris, and it's win or go home, like you said. It's the knockout stage. So, well, I mean, it's win or don't get to play the rest of the weekend for the most part. We're going to conclude the Summer Showdown Tournament here. This is your 8 seed versus your 9 seed, and how the brackets work is that you get to pick your team, but I think Dallas was the last one left to get chosen, so Paris didn't necessarily pick. But Dallas is on the upswing, and there's so much to play for in these tournaments, too, that Dallas really needs it. Paris has been a team that's gone up and down, but still consistently one of the top contenders in the league.
Yeah, let's have a look at the rewards that you're going to be getting. Not you. The teams are going to be getting. Unfortunately,
look at those numbers.
Yeah, but if we spread that among like everybody that's currently watching, and then the teams and the players, then yeah, it wouldn't work out that great. Let's be real with ourselves. But you get some sweet cash money, as Hex always loves to say, and they also get some points for later in the season, which is going to be important for the teams that haven't had the brightest start to the 2020 season.
Yeah, if you can catch fire and end up winning this tournament or even taking second, a couple of wins just tacked onto your record, really going to help seeding as we go towards the end of the season. And in that kind of format, we're able to pick your teams. But the Dallas starters are what everyone is waiting to pop up on the screen. I'm not sure if they tweeted or not yet, but let's build the suspense anyway. Hey, we found him! Decay's back!
Woo! Put down your magnifying glass. He is in the lineup. Onigod taking a back seat for this one. They have looked increasingly better with Onigod as the weeks gone by, but I think the consistency, well, just the consistent excellence, I'll put it that way, from Decay is going to be what the Dallas really need at the end of the day. Paris is a very, very tough opponent. They're going to be, he is going to be joined by Doha in the DPS role, Hex.
Yeah, and Decay has had those carry performances, and he's had to have them been on the bench for a couple of weeks, perhaps a little sabbatical, a little break to get fresh for the tournament here, as you want your best players to be playing. And Doha has definitely been one of those best players. He picked up the Genji last week, had a great Hanamura, and there's a little bit of history between Doha and one of the players on Paris, Jaws.
Yeah, ex-teammates. Let's have a look at the connections presented by Xfinity. Doha versus Sparkle, both Element Mystic alumni. There's a lot of talent that came from that team, including Hanbin as well, who's, of course, on the roster for the Paris Eternal 2. But, like you said, Doha's been playing the Genji a little bit less than Sparkle has, of course, which is kind of ridiculous when you look at the rankings for Sparkle on your screen right now. First place in a majority of the sections, but Doha, is he going to play the Genji today? I'd hope so. The Genji 1v1 versus him and Sparkle would be kind of interesting to see, and maybe pave the way for something brilliant for Dallas Fuel in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you can play Tracer would be... Decay is probably your best Tracer, but Decay also might just be your best overall player on the team. Onigod can play those things as well. But Doha really stepped up on the Genji, and I would like to see him play a little more Genji.
I would definitely hope so. I think we've got a soundbite by Sparkle. Let's see what he has to say going up against his former teammate in Doha.
저번 주에 이제 겐지로 발리언트를 이제 부셔버렸는데, 이번에 이제 저번 같은 팀에 있던 이제 도하 선수와 맞겐지를 아마 뜰 것 같은데, 도하 선수는 이제 제가 겐지를 알려줬기 때문에 저 무섭지도 않고 제가 그냥 밟아버리겠습니다.
Well, there you go. The student may become the teacher in this match, although we aren't going to be seeing Sparkle in the lineup for Paris, at least not to start off with at least. We've actually got Sun and Nico in the DPS, Ben Bess and Hanbin, like I mentioned before, another Element Mystic alumni, and Filter and FD God as the supports.
Yeah, and this is one of the benefits of being the higher seed, is that you do get to pick the very first map. So if you have a specific strategy, you think the other team is poor on this map, or you're just bad at the other maps of the map type, then it's a big benefit to Paris going into this, because honestly, They are not great at control, but they do get to pick the maps, and it's going to be Lijiang Tower first, so obviously they have a strategy here with this starting lineup. When I see Soon in and I see Nico in, I immediately think that they want to be running a Reaper and Mei composition on control. Genji could be a little bit tougher to run, so I think that Paris has a strategy, and they've been a team that runs like that Mei Reaper a little more often than other teams anyway.
Yeah, the 2 of the 3 stages on Lijiang definitely kind of provide a very good territory for Mei. Night Garden's not so much. I feel like you have to take control of the point first in order for it to be effective. Yeah. Otherwise, you can get kind of spanned out via Pharah or anything like super long range, like even an Echo, for example. So it's a little bit more dangerous. And hey, would you look at that? Funnily enough, we're on the exact stage I think Paris didn't really hope for. Command Center, of course, a little bit more tailored towards the Mei. Same with Night Market. We'll have to see what they want to run out with here, of course. I'm excited to see Decay back in the roster, Hex. I really am. There was like you said before, there was a lot of questions of where he has gone. Is he going to come back? Are we just going to see only God for the rest of the tournament? And considering his performance the other week, I'm actually slightly surprised with seeing Decay, but like he said at the very start of the show, the consistency normally is the key, especially in these tournament runs, and Decay definitely brings that in spades.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's your best player on the roster. I don't think anyone on Dallas would even argue with that. Decay had just carrying performances that his team was unable to convert into victories, although Dallas has had a brutal stretch of games over the last 6 or so weeks, so it's kind of to be expected, but now they're starting their best possible 6, and it looks like we have a complete different type of style of gameplay for both squads. It's going to be full-on dive from the Dallas Fuel, while Paris is playing the more brawl comp.
Yeah, so he's sticking on the sim as well. So they are just going to be able to just take control of the point, hopefully sit there for the rest of the game. Gamsu does end up going down first, especially in double shield, hunker down style. That benefits Paris and some. Right, with Note falling too, Crimzo dead, point unlocks, that means they take it. And now, where do you go from here if you're the Fuel? I would say maybe some spam like Pharah. You're building up to these nano blades. That's what you really want. But Decay's going to have a tough job getting anything done. He's got to be so scared of not only the double shield, but the Mei as well, who can just one-click headshot you.
Ooh, Doha goes down early. I mean, Soon staying on this sim is actually a really cool strat, too, because it makes sure that you're not short-handed in the first fight. And we were talking in rehearsal, I'm like, man, watching FD God on Brig is a tragedy, but we have him on at the Lucio to make sure that his team's in full position first. Oh, and what? Another kill from Hanbin. He just got 2, both the damage dealers from Dallas down. That slows down the push.
Okay, go again. Those 2 picks there do result in about, what, 15 to 20% of extra time on the point, just waiting for people to come back. They are fast DPS, but still. Oh, that's a nasty ice school taken by Crimzo. Did mean he can build up towards that Nano. Blades coming up rather soon as well. Window Felly used by Fielder to make sure people stay alive. Note's mech gets instantly destroyed by Fielder as well. Better Soldier in the Baptiste, of course. And they even have the wall too. There's so much going for the Paris Eternal right now that he could even use that Blizzard just to counteract the ult from Doha. Decay already goes down, like I said before. It's a rather terrifying situation for the Tracer. Nano onto Doha, doesn't want to pop the blade just yet. Gamsu is going to go down, as well as Crimzo. That Blizzard has been thrown out to the back, so all your support line falling. Doesn't mean Dallas Fuel have to back off yet again. Crimzo using that Nano. I think he expected the rest of the team to stay alive a little bit longer so Doha could build the blade, then use it, hopefully get to the back line. But hey, Paris Eternal, they've got the beat. That's the only thing they can survive against the blade, but a non-Nano blade doesn't normally get that much done.
Well, I mean, it was perfect, too, for Nico to just drop the Blizzard on the point, and Paris is living in the Arctic. The blade's not going to get much, and now they have beat now. Perfect.
Oh, there's the beat, and Doha's blade does absolutely nothing. Gamsu falls yet again. Decay is going to have to find something big with the Pulse Bomb. Does launch it in, but misses. Immortality Field goes down as well. Decay having a horrible time trying to finish someone off. Fielder eventually gets killed. Double Bio Grenade in the front line on the tanks as well. That's the thing that Paris needed. Decay distracting them for that entire time. The shields, you could see, were kind of flipping around all over the place. That was a perfect nade from Crimzo to make sure the fight was won. Hanbin goes for the reset, and Paris Eternal changing it up here too. Soon's going to be on the Tracer now.
Yeah, maybe going for a recontest. Yeah, he's going to go to the Reaper now, so to try to wall people off, hammer and anvil action. But Dallas played that really well, patiently going through that, because Paris had spent ultimates to make sure they were going to get beat for the blade that was definitely incoming. But Paris has now exhausted most of their resources, and changing heroes is going to reset that as Fielder switches as well. Dallas in a decent spot to bring this back, but Paris only needs one more fight.
And they're doing, they can maybe save for that Blizzard. That's a big shatter in the front line. Can they finish it up with kills? Yes, they can. Paintbrush is going to fall to the melee of Hanbin. There's the Nano, there's the Blade, straight in the small room. One dash will get one kill. Can he finish off the main tank? Of course he can. Soon does clip him in the back of the head, though. And a stick onto the sleeping mech. Hanbin is very injured at this point, and it's only Nico now controlling the and contesting the point, in fact. Soon does end up falling as well to Crimzo of all people. They did have to contest for as long as they could, but Crimzo taking both of the DPS out is going to be a good fight for Dallas.
Well, Paris was not in a great spot, but they do get a couple of ultimate abilities out of Dallas and build up a couple of their own, most notably going to be Blizzard. You can open with Coalescence to buy some space, and Dallas has absolutely nothing to deal with. And Paris' backup plan, I think, is if the Blizzard fails, they just move soon over to Sombra, and so maybe you get an EMP, but at 72%, that's going to be a pretty tough ask.
I mean, to be fair, even one hack might just do it, Hex. Doha and Gamsu are very vulnerable to that. Doomfist is going to get launched into White Room, but can't quite find the pick on the Sombra. The Coalescence ends Paintbrush's life. The OT is ticking down only just. Dallas Fuel were able to connect with it. The Blizzard's going to come out to separate the rest of the team, and Dallas Fuel only have 2 people left alive as the DPS. And Doha ends up falling to Hanbin, chased out, no supports, no heals. And first stage will go over to Paris as they take Night Gardens.
Yeah, definitely you can see their strategy on these maps here. They definitely want to use the May. May is tailor-made for a lot of control maps. You think a Nepal Village is perfect for, as we mentioned coming into that, that's probably the worst stage to run a May in, but now we're going to go to Control Center where you can lock it off. And Paris is a team that could still just run the Symmetry here. I was so impressed with how Paris knew that they didn't have Sound Barrier up, and so they started using ultimates before that. You saw the Blizzard come out. You saw the Symmetra Wall come out to force Dallas into an odd position to use the Nano earlier. That bought them enough time to get to the Sound Barrier, bought them a little bit more percentage on the point, so Paris is really working their economy very well. It also helps when Hanbin is just crushing DPS early in fights.
Yeah, it's exactly what they're going to stick on, it looks like. Soon changing over to the Reaper, so this is the comp we thought they were going to run. A little bit of a different double shield for the Fuel, as noticed on the Orisa now. It's going to be on Decay again, farming up these plays, but he hasn't got a Nano to back him up. Doesn't need it though, apparently, because Fielder ends up going down. He was on top of one of those little screen things. Good lord, I don't know what he was doing up there. Potentially jumping to get away from some damage, but Decay ended up finding him rather easily. Doha on the Doomfist too. Heavy dive DPS for the Dallas Fuel. Very hard to take down as well, mind you. Crimzo can just throw in an Immortality Field to make sure they can stay alive even longer and get more damage done. Point gets taken by the Fuel as well.
And there's no escaping that either. There's almost no retreat. If you can't get a boost out, then you're just going to get chased down with the high mobility characters of Genji and the Doomfist. And now Paris not in the greatest spot. You don't want to be recontesting this point with this comp.
They do get walled off. Gamsu has the Shatter if he really needs it. And yeah, Note can just hit shift to make sure he doesn't get CC. There's the Shatter. 5 men on their back. Thank you very much. That's the Paris Fuel going all the way back to spawn.
Well, I believe the industry term for that is fatty shatty, as he just throws it in after getting stunned up, knocks everybody down. Easy cleanup from Gamsu's Shatter. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and Takeo himself a blade in that fight too. Doha's also got the ground bound, that huge meteor strike. It's going to be hard to hit somebody. I feel like you're going to have to wait for Nico or Soon to pop one of their cooldowns before he does it. No, he decides to go in straight away. There's the hold. There's the meteor strike. Couldn't quite find too much. And he actually gets fluxed up in the air as well. So even less mobility available for the Doomfist now. Decay has the blade, but the Blizzard is going to come out and isolate Gamsu on the point. The Pete did reach him, but it was too much damage for the Dallas Fuel to bear. The Death Blossom in the front ends the fight rather swiftly with a boop onto Paintbrush to kill the last member off, and a point will eventually get flipped over by the Paris.
Paris did toss in a ton of ultimates, though. Maybe the Death Blossom wasn't needed, but Death Blossom can be difficult to get value out of. You can get a deflected back into you can get stunned out of it, so I don't hate that one, but they did commit several other ultimates, only going to have a Shatter of their own, but in control of the point, this is a much better composition. You can wall off that door, retreat, you can wall off a secondary door when that cooldown comes up, so this is where Paris wants to be. This is the point of the composition.
Yeah, I'm surprised that actually didn't end up resulting in a pin. Oh boy! That's what happens when you don't have a nano boost. Tried to put down the Immortality Field to save him, but it wasn't quite quick enough. Doha ends up going down as well. Yeah, this is an easy reset for the Fuel now. They don't want to fight this any longer, and Decay has had enough of the Genji. He's changing over to the McCree instead. A little bit more consistent damage to the shields, that is for sure. And yeah, you're not going to get instantly shattered by Ben Best, who's waiting with a shatter every single time, it seems.
The pair's damage dealers have combined for 9 final blows. Hanbin has 10. He has taken over this match on Sigma. He's got 2 accretion kills, 4 stuns. There's another reverse curse.
Yeah.
I gave him the juice.
Decay kind of just was on his own in the right-hand room. I'm going to chase it all the way back to the spawn. Not sure what Decay was doing there. He got met by 2 people and a mighty boulder as well.
Now they're going to have another Blizzard and a Grab, and when Paris used those important ultimates before, they might have been in a bit of trouble, but those individual kills from Hanbin come up huge, and it's just, how do you even get in? That's a nice window. It's not going to do much.
Yeah, Decay's off to the side again, and Hanbin is just kind of sitting there waiting for him. Now they're down a DPS. This is going to be last fight. 90% on the ball. Blizzard available too. Nico throws it in. Can Gamsu get out alive? No, he cannot. Immortality Field goes down, but so does Gamsu. The BTS strike to try and clear the rest of Paris Eternal away. Hanbin and Decay will come back in time. Decay has switched over to the Tracer to make it worth it. Double fire strike though for Note. I thought Ben Best even killing off Note and Doha, and there it is. Paris Eternal take the map 2 stages to 0 over the Fuel.
We talk about the damage dealers in this meta, and why wouldn't you? The last several weeks have been just completely run by damage dealers. You could make an argument that right now this meta, if you don't have a top-tier Sigma, you're in trouble. And that's even a preview for our next match coming up, where Gargoyle is going to be playing Sigma, very likely for Florida. But Hanbin just took over that map. It goes back to the first stage, where he's getting individual kills. He gained them 30-40% just on his own, and Decay just put in his place there by Hanbin, who led the entire server in final blows.
Yeah, Decay on the flank, twice in a row was actually met in servers by Hanbin. And the McCree versus Sigma, yeah, even with the flashbang, it's pretty hard to win that duel in the 1v1 because of the shield and the rock, and you can also eat the flashbang if you are quick enough as well. Questions are, Decay, what really was he doing there? I like the McCree switch, by the way. I will say that. The Genji without the nano doesn't do a whole bunch, and you could see Paris's game plan there was, we have Shatter, we're going to wait till he blades, we know they're going to go aggressive, we hit the Q, and then we just win the fight.
Yeah, and just really nice play there from the Dallas off tank, and that composition is all about getting in the position that you want and just holding it. Ice Wall is so good on that stage.
Yeah, Paris lead the series 1-0. We're going to jump to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Map number 2 coming up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zipchair GAMING, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Well, last time we played Paris, we got 3-0'd real quick, so I think they got lucky for the most part, but
yeah.
before I came here, yeah, lucky, it was pretty lucky. But before I came here, I had like a nice drawing that I made for the stream. I predicted that Paris would pick us, so I'm just gonna, this is my prediction for our next match. This is gonna be...
Okay.
And I'm gonna put it in
Look
the
at Look
next week.
No, you can't.
No respect at all for the Sparkle Genji Crimso or anything. I mean,
that's okay. We
I
have
don't
Doha.
think Ben Best actually has a preview monitor, so he has no idea what you just did. He has to wait until the YouTube feed caught up to us. I don't want to give it away, but he may or may not have just torn your logo apart. Ben Best, what do you say about that?
I don't care. We will see on the match.
That's why I love the selection show, Hex. I think it's one of the funniest parts, honestly, of the tournaments. I hope this kind of stuff continues. Thank you, Crimzo, for that lovely demonstration. But right now, Paris kind of handling you pretty well. Those substitutions, by the way, for Paris are going to stick with Nico and Soon in on the DPS.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That seemed to work, and if Dallas Fuel want to keep running this dive composition, then the composition that Paris is running with like a Reaper and May can be very good against it. Also, you know, we'll see what map that Dallas Fuel pick. Dallas Fuel being the losers of the last map get to pick the next one. Only 3 hybrid maps in our pool. I believe it's Hollywood, Blizzard World, and Kings Row. I have a cheat screen right here. I can already see we're in lobby, so it looks like it's going to be Kings. That makes sense for Dallas because the other 2 maps, they only have, I think they're 4 and 10 and 4 and 14 on respectively. Not the greatest record on Kings Row, but it's obviously the best map left in the pool for them, so they're picking it. And it kind of plays into Paris' style. I mean, May can still be good on Kings Row, kind of a groundish map early on.
Yeah, curious to see where Sparkle is. Maybe he was actually too scared of Doha. Maybe he wants to sit down and just say, "Hey, man, like, I know you've gotten better, so I don't want to get shown up and just play it off like he doesn't want to show Doha up." It's like next level kind of strategies of subbing people in and out.
Next trash talk video is going to be Sparkle versus Jaws.
Yeah, it won't go well. I'll just get.
You were name dropping in rehearsal of like, "Oh, I'm friends with all these guys. Like, you're the coolest guy in the world." So
I just know I just know the animation manager, okay? That's about it. I'm not that cool, okay, Hex?
That's cool.
I do have
I
a
call him
bag
by his
and
first
it's very
name because
nice.
we're cool like that. Yeah, that famous
like
pasta that I always like. But yeah, we are headed into Kings Row. Paris Eternal have looked good so far. They are the higher seed. But yeah, Dallas... I don't know. They just kept playing dive into it. Paris, once they got control of points, that's exactly what you want your composition to do. And then just a great individual performance from Hanbin on the Sigma. So defensively, we're going to know what the Dallas Fuel want to run first. I believe that they're on the defense here because Paris Eternal's running a strange comp, if that is the case. But yeah, good old Kings Row. We got the meta reports of scrims, and it seems pretty stable, but scrims can often just be working on a composition. I think it was, I want to say it was like Tavik not too long ago told me, like, if you're winning scrims, you're not doing it right. You need to be working on things and practicing, and like winning scrims, who cares? It's scrim bucks. So we could see the meta shift because the reports that we had, it got very, very stable of the exact same 6 heroes. So far, we're not seeing that.
I love the scrim, but I love the idea of scrim bucks, man. I really do. I love when teams just clap and they're like, yeah, basically we won every scrim for like, I don't know, like 4 months, and then they play and they just get dumped, and it's like, oh god, what have we done?
The first 2 years I was casting, no team ever admitted to losing a scrim. Everyone was undefeated in scrims, so I just stopped paying attention to it.
I too win all of my scrims, and I win all of my ranked games.
Well, Paris was trying to get across there, but I think they got halted off by Gamsu, so it's going to take them a little while longer as they rotate up the stairs. Dallas playing pretty far back here.
Oh, that was a charge and a half. Member's going to get kept alive, though, luckily enough. This is his perfect brawling ground. Doha, of all people, he does manage to take out Soon in the back line. Normally it's a favourable matchup for the Reaper. Doha's going to be able to reset now off of Ben Best. He's going to build play pretty quickly, too, dashing through like 6 or so people. Not too bad whatsoever. Ooh, almost deflected that straight into Nico's face. He ends up going down, as well as FD God falling as well. Very quick and clean clean up there for Dallas. However, we're again going on Doha on the Genji, and he hasn't got the nano to kind of back him up with. I think the Immortality Field and even the rally or armor packs and whatnot is going to have to be committed to actually make sure this survives, because look at all the CC available for Fuel. In fact, look at all the mitigation too. Everybody has a way to save themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, losing soon in that fight is the worst possible scenario for that composition. You have no damage up front anymore, and it just seemed like a matter of time before Dallas is able to clean it up with dash through. So Dallas got a really good rotation. They're trying to halt them off again. And those
that was a perfect wall.
Slows them down.
There's the blade in the back. Can he kill the cold? Yes, he can. Gets the reset now, jumping to the front line to try and kill the main tank, but a little bit harder than it normally would appear. Bembest wasn't damaged whatsoever, but Doha's still going to manage to find the kill, find the reset too. Nice little dash through and a deflect kill onto Nico as well. Just having the worst time possible trying to kill anybody. That rally went off the start of the fight there for the Fuel as soon as they saw Paris engaging. Everybody stacked full of armor, and Doha was able to get the job done.
Well, Paris is now built up to the ultimate phase of the game that they want to get into, but we're below 2 minutes, so you're down to 2 pushes, and Dallas has been pretty economical in their uses of abilities to win a fight pretty much just with rally there. So Paris is going to have to try to get a Blizzard in. So far, Dallas has done a really good job of avoiding walls, not getting pushed on, and halting, so that's going to make Paris try a different angle here.
Look at Doha's percent again. He's up to Blade already. He could just pop it right now and it wouldn't matter whatsoever. The beat's going to come out. There you go. The Blade's coming through as well. Bembest instantly killed off, as well as the Bob. You're also getting Flux. There is actually no way Paris is going to be able to win that fight. Nico tried to get a Blizzard in there. I can't. I was looking at Doha the entire time. I'm not sure if that actually got eaten or what, but that was the best tool for them to stop the tanks and from stopping Doha from doing things and just existing and killing people. And now Paris have a minute remaining. They have 3 ults, in the bank with Death Blossom and Coalescence coming up. This is disaster for the Eternal.
Yeah, they just used 2 of their best ultimates too and got very little value out of it, but Doha's in trouble. He gets cold down.
Instant kill, not bad. Now someone has to contest, and it's going to be Gamsu, and he instantly falls. Death Blossom still available. Maybe I called that one a little bit too early. Paintbrush kills Nico, good start. The walk back from spawn is a long and treacherous one, mind you, for the Fuels. They're probably not going to be able to get back in time. Paris eventually cleaning on up. That was Fielder opening that one up with a Coalescence kill onto Doha, who has been playing super aggro. So Coalescence pretty good at kind of dealing with that, forcing the Genji back, and regardless of the armor packs being thrown at you, it's a tough ultimate to disengage from.
Yeah, they didn't get cute there. They didn't go for a rotation through the hotel or the top right side. Just walk onto the point and start shooting stuff. And yeah, the Coalescence coming up really early was nice. It's a good opening ultimate anyway, just to keep everybody healed and do a little bit of damage. To be able to catch Doha out there, then you don't really have to worry about anyone in your backlines. Able to focus on the up front, and that's what this Paris Eternal comp is better at.
Another Cold, and maybe another Blade for Doha as well. Flux for Note, sends Bembest high in the sky. Tried to get some an angle on there, if I note. He was able to do so. Best thing you can do with the Sigma is just fly as high as you can. If you know they haven't got interruptions, you can get behind the shield of Bembest and try and insta-kill him with the drop down. Nice little hold, though, for the Fuel. They have the Blade, they have Window coming online as well as at Supercharger. However, Soon's in the back line trying to get a sneaky flank off.
Soon being sneaky,
he can 2 hits
right there.
No, it's not going to happen. There's the Blade, though, in the front line. Beat is going to match Doha, though, and you can see him backing out almost instantly. He doesn't want to test them. The Shadow hits the ground, and so does Note. Gamsu gets dragged back in. Immortality Field instantly killed off. And now just dying on the payload to stall for some additional time is the name of the game. Doha killed Soon, but it doesn't matter because Hunbin and Bembest are still alive. Everybody tracked in the bookshop, not quite finding a good read, unfortunately. And the Paris are going to get this payload moving once again. Plus, they've got some fantastic ults online. That the Flux and the Blizzard coming up for this next fight just before second.
Yeah, Doha's going to switch over to his own Mei to try to get some wall action going, but the Paris Eternal tanks have been so aggressive with this composition, and that's what you want done. I mean, that's why they're not running the Brigida, so that FD God can boost everybody in there. Bembest swings away. He's had a couple good shatters already in this set. We've already spoken at great length about Hanbin's play.
They did not expect the Mei, although you can hold tab and see who's choosing what when you are mid-match. So Bembest ends up getting taken down. They're still going to commit the Flux, though, trying to Flux people off the payload, but, I mean, Gamsu kind of sat there, went golden, and was refusing to budge. Takei's taking a little bit too much damage, but Paris Eternal still throwing everything in as the Blizzard does claim the life of Doha.
This one's taking a little bit. Note's going to have his flux if he wants to stall out for some time and get his team at a full 6. There it is.
He's going to do it. 0.98 meters, and still Dallas Fuel are losing members left, right, and center. Guangzhou ends up going down next. That dynamite was absolutely massive, but the healing should be able to take care of it rather easily. The wall is trapping the Fuel actually on the point and away from the healers. A good boop onto Soon, sends him away from the back line, but straight in to the waiting arms of Crimzo. Was able to get out in time, but Nico cleaning up on the point. If you're Soon there, you're just distracting the healers long enough to make sure that the rest of the team can get the damage done. The Bob comes on the point as well, and Crimzo managed to bring this one back with the help of Paintbrush's beat. He's going to come through, and the Paris Eternal now getting shoved away just before the second point. That was a fight and a half for the Paris Eternal. That was a, what, 2.5 minute fight, I think? It didn't stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're on offense, you really don't want to give up that push if you have any chance to bring it back. And there were a lot of times it ended up going 5v5, and then they'd get everyone back in there. But just a wonderful blizzard at the end there from Doha. Nico got some value out of his early, but then Doha's been dueling out Nico and making him use cooldowns. That blizzard comes in. Nico was about 80% on his own blizzard when he died to that, so if that doesn't kill Nico, there might be a flip around. But then the blizzard and the Bob and the wall, they all combine for a giant comeback. And yeah, just a really nice switch onto the May for that last point, because it is, again, when you see these choke points on the maps, the first choke point after you capture first, really good for May. That last point, you saw the wall-offs and catching them off guard, and Paris was on the back foot ever since they lost Ben Best early in that.
Yeah, Bob is also pretty spectacular in the later stages of an engagement, because the shields are damaged, people are running out of cooldowns and waiting for them to kind of refresh, like the Eat, for example, and just shift from Moira, etc., those cooldowns that you don't really want to blow early, but you kind of have to in certain situations, and Bob can really help clean up a fight as well if it's placed near the back line or manages to touch somewhere quite far away where no one can actually deal with him. It's a horrible kind of situation to be in, especially if you're a support too, because if you get focused by the Bob, you are putting everything into yourself to try and make sure you keep yourself alive, and that normally means you jumping onto your team in order to get AoE healing if you're someone like Baptiste. It's a tough situation, most definitely. Does it like Dash Fuel running out with an Ashe, sticking on that one, and the Genji for their offense.
Yeah, Bob's just a resource hog. It takes a lot to deal with a Bob. You got to heal up your team, and you got to put a lot of damage, big health bars. So Dallas wants to run the Ashe, Genji, and then Paris still on the same thing. FD God doing FD God things.
This aerial Lucio. You'd think he was a Pharah. Doha manages to find himself in the back line. Still doing a fair bit of damage. Is the Fuel just kind of spamming into this small choke point. Perfect position for not only Doha, but for Decay to do damage over the shield with the dynamite. Spawn advantage for the Fuel, of course. And they do jump on the point. Yeah, now they're kind of trapped in this small alleyway with only a mini health pack at their backs and FD God to heal them up. He's doing a fair bit of work though to Doha, mind you, who although Doha's not exactly going to get insta-killed by the Lucio and earns himself a blade so fast, Ben Best bites the dust, and now you can just reset after reset after reset. And that'll be a win for the Fuel on the first point, with Soon falling as well.
Yeah, Paris just got completely stuck in that hallway with Doha playing gatekeeper on the outside. They had 3 up, but then the rest of the Dallas Fuel were alive. The 3 alive rotated towards the point. They were getting some supporting fire in the back from Decay, who anytime FD God stepped up was taking a shot or two, and then Doha's there waiting for the finish off on the resets. So nicely played for just put Paris in a corner. And Dallas Fuel going to roll through here, and we're not even reaching ultimates just yet.
Yes. Doha's had a nice little blade to start off with, may be able to get another one by the time this fight engages, considering how quickly he's been able to get them previously. Oh, Nico's going to find the wall off, but yeah, Doha's just going to dash away. That's not too much of a problem. Coalescence is also going to chase him out. FD God, for some reason, dies. I'm not entirely sure where he was, but that looked like a dynamite and a body shot maybe into a headshot. Nico's going to use that blizzard on the archway, kill off Paintbrush, but look at the healing coming through from Crimzo. He's able to keep everybody alive, and now Doha is in the back line trying to find resets, and now Fielder, without a shift, was able to get taken out as well. Paris Eternal just seems so split here, Hex.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem they've got a direct point of engagement. It very much seems like small fights just everywhere that they're just kind of losing out in the 1v1s or the 2v2s.
And that is not the design of this composition at all. Dallas Fuel has a 1v1, 2v2 composition. Of course, double shield is always good for an anchor tank point of engagement, but you don't want Genji in a 1v1 anywhere on the field. And now Dallas has reached a critical mass here where they could just hit 6 ultimates and just win this match.
Yeah, it was feeling pretty good. If you're a Fuel fan, they do get flux 3 meters before that payload does engage. Luckily, they hit the ceiling, so they're able to escape for the time being. The bomb comes out, and Doha just cleaning up the rest. I take it back. He's not going to get any kills. It was all Bob. Dallas Fuel end up taking King's Road just like that. What a complete opposite of what just happened on Lijiang Tower. That was just absurd. Doha was able to get blades off for free. I love Decay picking up the Ash too. The Dynamites really help Doha not only finish people off, but force cooldowns out from the supports and the tanks. And then Bob was there just to supplement all the damage. That was just an absurd steamroll of King's Row. I don't think we've ever seen something quicker. That felt like one of the quickest pushes we've ever seen.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to that very first Paris defense where they're not playing in the optimal position for that comp. You want to be playing on the hallways, maybe even down on the point. But they took that stairway fight first. It didn't go perfectly for them, but it didn't go all bad, but they were never able to rotate back into a good position. And it felt like after that, it was just feed after feed, stagger after stagger. And that's what this Dallas comp can do. Chase people down with Genji, hit long-range shots with your BAP and your Ash. And yeah, that defense from Paris was, well, non-existent would be a compliment.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if they can wrap that one around and take map number 3. It will be their choice for where we want to go to next, so we'll have to wait and see what that is going to be. We're going to jump to a quick break, though. Don't go anywhere. Dallas Fuel looking alive and making sure they're keeping themselves in the series.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile.
And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hello and welcome to our first game break of the day, presented by CHEEZIT Grooves. Zoe here, joined by Costa as well as Reinforce, and we were having currently a score of 1-1 between the Dallas Fuel as well as the Paris Eternal. Now let's dissect the games. This is the first match of our Summer Showdown knockout round, and it looks to be an interesting one. We were discussing the lack of sparkle coming into this one. However, didn't look too bad. Paris Eternal, in fact, was very decisive on that first map.
Yeah, Paris Eternal came in with a very set plan of how they wanted to play this game. They played the Lucio, the Moira, the Reinhardt with the Reaper. They just sort of wanted to play as a unit and move towards the point. The Dallas Fuel, on the other hand, had this very... They're getting kind of counter-stratted on both of the rounds. The first one, they play pretty much a full dive with the Tracer and the Genji, and that's really hard to deal with the the bunker down that we saw from the Paris Eternal. And then we go on the second round as well, and they have Doha on the Doomfist again, and then Decay on the Genji, which doesn't have a Nanoblade. It felt really hard for Dallas to get anything done. It felt like they were always fighting an uphill battle. But you saw on the second map, their strategy got significantly better.
Yeah, it looked like on the second map they actually got their roles figured out, Reinforce. Were you happier with what you saw there?
Yes, I was way happier, Zoe. It looked way better when Doha was on that Genji and then Decay back on that hit scan role. It just looked like the Dallas Fuel were back to normal. They were playing what they were comfortable with. Because as Costa said, on Lijiang Tower, they just looked uncomfortable. And we saw Decay go to like McCree and stuff. And it just obviously didn't work. But then we go to King's Row, and it was Dallas Fuel's map pick, right? Because we have loser's pick in the Summer Showdown. And they just looked way more comfortable in that regard. Doha, he was able to pop off on the Genji. And we were very close to a first point hold there from the Dallas Fuel if Crimso perhaps wouldn't have messed up his amplification matrix placement. So, oops in chat. But yeah, Dallas Fuel just looked way better when they were able to put Doha on that Genji on the second map. So that sort of begs the question, where do we go with here with the Paris Eternal and them playing a bit more of a brawly composition? So this series is completely up in the air.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to discuss the second half of that series in just a bit. But first, it is time for Crunch Time, presented by CHEEZIT Grooves. Gentlemen, what do you have for us?
Well, so I picked out the... it's not the last fight, actually, but well, I guess it is the last fight of Dallas Fuel's defense on King's Row, because this was a fight that went on forever, and it seemed like at every turn the Paris Eternal were going to win this fight, but then the Dallas Fuel somehow are able to bring it back with Bob back in the action, of course, and large part of it actually was Gamsu being able to come back to the fight, playing that Wrecking Ball. He died early on and then swapped over to the Wrecking Ball, came back, contested the point, and then they were able to bring it back with Crimson and Bob doing a lot of good work. So this was an incredibly important fight, and I think if the Dallas Fuel failed to win this fight, then Paris Eternal could easily have finished the map. So you see the kills coming in the kill feed, Decay, Crimson. Being able to stay alive in this fight was crucially important for them. And, you know, as time goes on, you were able to drag this fight out and win it. So that was a massively important fight for King's Row. And a large part of Dallas Fuel were able to bring it home.
Yeah, you got to give the props to the support lineup and the tank lineup from the Dallas Fuel for that one. They weathered the storm of all the Paris ultimates, and then they came back with their own. It's actually something that's very hard to do. We saw Soon running around in the backline of the Dallas Fuel for what felt like an eternity, just unable to get any kills just due to some great boosts, some synergy from the backline. So big. That's the Dallas Fuel that we were promised. That's the Dallas Fuel that we hoped we would see coming into the Summer Showdown.
Once more, a reminder that it is the loser's pick for the upcoming match, and this one is going to be Hanamura. However, we're also going to see some changes. Soon will be out, Xe is in, and Nico is out, and Sparkle is coming in, and Reinforce, you are very excited about that change.
Yes. This is what we wanted to see, Sparkle back in action. And Hanamura was a map that really worked out for Paris Eternal last week when they played against the Los Angeles Valiant. So perhaps a bit of a comfort pick for them if they can rely on Sparkle to play that Genji and get those Nanoblades up. It's very good for breaking up point B if you're attacking. We've seen many teams stalled out on point B. They're not able to break the defense, but the Nanoblade gives you that opportunity. And then we've seen them play this Widowmaker, which sort of adds like another pressure point from the attacking team. So that has worked out great for the Paris Eternal on Hanamura in the past. So perhaps a bit of a comfort pick from them.
Well, Costa, what can the Dallas Fuel do to shut Sparkle down on Hanamura?
put Doha on Genji. You don't need to shut Sparkle down if the rest of the team is dead. So I honestly think this is going to be a battle of the two Genjis playing Nano Blades and just running at each other and who can get the most value. So it's going to be, in my opinion, on the backlines to do the best job that they can.
Well, let's find out who is going to blade harder. In just a moment, we will be heading into Hanamura next, so stay tuned.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by CHEEZIT Groups. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
C'est le self-heal, il n'y aura que le Sigma de McGravy qui va interrompre ce flux gravitationnel et la Blade qui va être investie par contre avec un super combo Alt Grade. Oh là là.
노트의 모습인데 공수 토시가 바뀐 상태에서 리플레이가 나와가지고 조금 헷갈려.
Vraiment beaucoup de bien et devrait tenir une teamfight avant même qu'il soit réellement joué. On décide quand même d'investir beaucoup d'ulti pour les paris d'Arnal, c'est un petit peu questionnable.
World and trying to do damage, although I say that, look at Doha just slow! That's the Ghost Dash! We are halfway through the series and both teams now 1 apiece. After that King's Row, Dallas Fuel took in a blink of an eye, Hex. It was a pretty fast map. Paris' defense didn't look all too up to it. Paris, however, well, guess what? They get to choose the map now, and we are going to Hanamura, which is, funnily enough, one of the best maps for Dallas. In fact, we got stats through, apart from getting stunted on by Seoul, who is the quickest attacking team with 5 minutes and 38 seconds of the time back. Dallas hold 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in biggest time banks on Hanamura. All, of course, over 5 minutes, just under the 30-second, just over the 30-second mark, which is just insane. And Paris are like, hey, we'll just take it to the home ground. We're going to take you on your best map, and that'll really put a dampener on things.
Well, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best offenses ever on Hanamura. One of those is actually this season, too, so it's not just going back to different seasons. But the worst defense ever on Hanamura, that was mid-stage 2 when, if you're a Dallas fan, you know, like, mid-season 2 was not ideal for the Dallas Fuel. But Paris picking this map, they don't have a great record on it, but they don't have a great record on a lot of these assault maps. But we do also have some substitutions coming into the Paris that was promised. Nico and Soon out. The French connection now gone. And it's going to be XC and Sparkle coming in.
Oh, yes, they are. This is the match we wanted to see, or the matchup even. Doha versus Sparkle, Genji versus Genji, or at least I hope so. I can't imagine they're not going to play it if they put Sparkle in. And maybe we see some XC Ash too, or some Widowmaker. XC has definitely been a bright spot for the Paris Eternal, especially when Sparkle wasn't of age. He, of course, only just turned 18 and was eligible to actually play for the Paris Eternal in the league. XC came out the gates just roaring. I remember seeing and doing the homestand with him. It was just kind of ridiculous, and the crowd going absolutely bananas when he picks Widow, and it's just like, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, they're all dead. It's kind of easy game. It's always fun seeing people go crazy when Widow hits headshots, and even Genji Blades too. XC and Sparkle are just a force to be reckoned with. Can Doha and Decay stand up to them? I think maybe yes. I think everybody was hoping Decay would come back in for this matchup specifically, because if you're out-pressured by Sparkle, more often than not, Paris are just going to be able to roll over you because the supports aren't their support and their backlines isn't pressured enough. Their tanks are able to basically do whatever they want because the entire enemy team's just trying to handle Sparkle and cage him somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe we'll get some XE76. He had some carry performances earlier this year on it, but I think if you're the Paris Eternal, especially this map, it's wide open. It's your map pick. Put in your Genji, who can be great on Hanamura. We've seen Genji constantly on Hanamura, and also you need the long-range hit scan, I think, to close out second point, get an Ash up on that high ground there. So I think we're going to see very similar compositions as we go forward. FD God might have to play the Brigitte here just so that you have something to stop Doha jumping your backline. We'll see which these teams want to roll out. Dallas has left spawn, though. It's going to be double shield, Ash, and Genji, and a BAP in Brigitte. So this is pretty much what all of the scrim data had showed us going into this. Some Widow play, some Tracer play, but for the most part, Genji had a very high pick rate, just very good in this current meta. I wouldn't be surprised if XE comes out on this Widow. First point can be nice to take that immediate high ground, and maybe switch to the Ash as they go to second point just for the utility.
Yeah, I didn't see the grapple going up, so yeah, he's not actually just looking for a spawn peek either. He's actually going to be sticking on it. It's going to be pretty good against Decay's Ash. Doesn't have similar range, of course. Ash does have a lot of fall off. Widow does not when she's scoped, or in fact when she's unscoped, I believe, as well. So it can be quite deadly for Decay. They are holding down on the low ground. You can see Decay huddling behind the shields. He knows he can't really deal with Widowmaker from XE. Nice little dynamite there to stop the assault from Paris. Although taking this small like cove, this small little building, is rather fancy because you put them in a position where you can also get flanked by the Genji. Venomine killed onto onto the Genji. That's definitely not what you want to see, and now XE can just take a prime position. This is why it's so good to take that small room, because you can have your other DPS set up on the opposite high ground and kind of pincer them in. And now the Paris Eternal can sit on the point basically for free, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, it's very uneven numbers here, but there's going to be a definite respawn advantage for the Paris Eternal, and they still have Blade. I think they would like to hold Blade to try to snowball this into second point, but you have to really make sure you're going to win this point first.
That was a perfect pick from Fielder as well, putting down the window and actually killing off one. Sparkle's earned himself a Blade already and finds two. Make that a third, maybe a fourth as well. Oh my word, before we can even switch to it, he'd already pulled it and killed two people. So, not a bad offense for the Paris Eternal. That'll end that one quick sharp. Plus, they have a lot of ults to go into this second point as well. Maybe Supercharger, definitely having the Flux and the sights too, so make sure that Sparkle can play safe against Decay.
Yeah, Flux Widow can be really, really good for a key pick. So you might just see a Flux onto maybe the supports if they can get it, pull Crimzo out of the Immortality field and hit a headshot. I think that's the combo that you want to be using going in here. Dallas has a blade of their own though, so Doha's going to try to stop this fight before it starts.
Yeah, he's got the armor on him as well. Exi already finds one kill. There's the beautiful grab. But yeah, Doha has to get out of there ASAP. Finds Exi in the back line though, and is still slicing in the back. FG God ends up falling down. They didn't expect him to go for the full-on flank. Exi was very, very unaware of that was happening. Caught unawares and ends up falling. Switching over to the Ashe now, as the Fuel puts up a good defense.
Yeah, the Ashe makes a lot of sense to try to defend against a Genji diving in on you. The top-tier Genjis just have this amazing target acquisition where they're mid-air and they have a big, giant swipe that could hit 3 people maybe, but won't kill anyone. So it's always about finding these isolated targets. Yeah, obviously the supports look good, but the supports are with the team. If you can find an isolated damage dealer out in the middle of nowhere, that's the target you want to go for. Doha's really, really good at doing that. He did it last week on Hanamura as well, so he's really smart at playing Genji on this map. And now Dallas, both support ultimates and a Flux. Paris gonna have to rely on Sparkle's blade here.
Did that get anybody? It did. Oh no, it did get a couple. They were just outside. Didn't find anything with that. Takes a lot of damage too from that dynamite. I didn't really like that Flux. You gotta wait for him to come in for more just to make sure it's worth it. Even a hold too, obviously, that's what most people combo with. Big dynamite in the front line. It's going to kill off Supercharger in a matter of seconds. Doha's almost earned himself a blade too. They're backing away from the window as they hear the rally coming up. They want to make sure they don't dive straight into this armored Genji. Taking the high ground away from Gamsu, though, is going to be a good start. They've entirely swapped places at this point, with Sparkle having the blade too. It's going to be blade on blade as Doha unsheathes his blade first, gets to the back line of his own team, and ends up just not being able to kill too much. But same with Sparkle, who's pulled out the blade of his own, and now just kind of playing mitigation for the enemy team, as XC was able to just deal with everybody else. It was like, hey, look at me, a bright flare being shot up. It's just like, you're going to have to kill me at some point. But no. Take a look again as Exi manages to erase the backline.
Yeah, distraction Genji. Completely worth it. Gets in there, but the rest of Paris is just playing the point. They're ticking up, and by the time that Dallas has any fighting for him to get back to the point, there's a Bob down there, there's ults up for Paris, so they just say, like, you expect us up here, here's our Genji, and as you said, it's a great signal flare, come look at me. And the rest of Paris, meanwhile, just walks onto the point, and Dallas has no response for it.
Not the fastest time we've ever seen, but still. Not a bad time at all for Hanamura. 3 whole minutes. And that wasn't exactly... One thing we say about 2CP a lot, Hex, is that you have to win like 3 fights to actually get on the point and start clearing ticks. I want to... If I can, I'll have to look back in the VOD, of course, so you can rewind, of course, on the YouTube player. But how many people from the Dallas Fuel are actually alive at the end of that map? Or at the end of that push, even? Because normally it's a complete wipe, you know, a 6-man down, or at least a couple of people rolling out of spawn. But there are a lot of people from Dallas Fuel that could have got on there, but it was all on Exi kind of just clicking away, with Bob on point as well, just dealing so much damage. Good rotations from the Paris Eternal as well, making sure they can push Gamsu off of the high ground. He puts himself in an unfavorable position, and then Ben Best and Hanbin can set up. Just all nice rotations all around from the Paris Eternal, and good cooldown management and ult management too from Sparkle and Exi.
Even at the very end, they were chasing down Sparkle as
they dropped
clock ran out on him.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Ooh,
headshot there.
Pre-ult charge, but that's going to be all that really comes of it. Same kind of setup, the Paris Eternal. However, they have but one shield on the high ground as well. Hanbin is going to be on the side. Nice little ult. I love the ult and dashes. It doesn't do like 1 billion damage, but that does. That's a double kill with a rock. You don't rarely see one of those, I'll tell you that. Decay and Crimso end up getting splattered across the floor. That's a complete team kill for the Eternal.
I mean, it doesn't do 1 billion damage as far as killing anyone, but it does do 1 billion damage in so much that you're going to get about 20 to 30% just on your ultimate there. If you look at the difference between Sparkle and Doha, that one halt into dash that we've seen set up so many times. I mean, halt is just an ultimate on cooldown, and able to get it up so quickly. No. That's an enormous kill. It's so much sightlines they don't have to worry about now. So much pressure. They can just roll in right side.
Yeah, Sparkle's going to have to pull the blade. He's got it now, and Untitled Field has gone down, so he's definitely going to wait for this to time out, or at least kill it. But no, Crimzo finds another kill onto Sparkle. Crimzo's killed both DPS at this point. Decay gets another rock to the face, but it doesn't really matter now. He's got the healing, he's got the tanks and the pressure in the front line. They can now just run to point. Makes that a third for Crimzo on this offense. Oh, fourth even, there you go.
Too. Yeah.
Dallas Fuel push onto the point now, are going to be able to take it. The Sparkle was waiting for the Immortality Field to die so he could blade, but Crimzo managed to kill him off beforehand. That was sick.
Can we get a montage POV of that when the replay comes out with Crimzo ripping up the logo of the Paris Eternal? I think they fit really well together. And now Paris on the back foot, but they were able to hold Blade. They're going to have tank ultimates up, and FD God should be able to get to rally. So even though Dallas has a Blade of their own and a couple other ults about to come online, Paris did not burn their economy because that fight ended so quickly.
Very early window there from Fielder. Forces Dallas Fuel to get back. If you see that, just back out, wait for it to disappear. You don't want to get insta-killed by any of the damage. Now they had to go down, so they can push in, go to high ground, and hopefully Paris don't jump on them with Blade. But like you said, that armor and the rally is going to be their biggest tool to use. Sparkle used the Blade. Perfect halt, perfect slashing. Although, can you say perfect slashing in that? I don't think you can, because he's just like slashing into everybody. I don't know if that's perfectly timed. Oh, easy kill. Oh, giving them a tactical crouch as well. Perfect. RTK giving the sad face. Don't, please. He's already... And the smile back.
Happy face.
I love it, dude.
So much said in only 4 characters of text chat.
It's perfect.
This isn't terrible for Dallas, though, because they didn't really have the ults to be able to go in and go toe-to-toe anyway. Meanwhile, Paris just burned a supercharger. The window, obviously, very early, and then the Blade. Sparkle's been charging Blade very quickly, but now Dallas is on the offensive with a ton of ultimates here. Throwing Bob at the point can put pressure on the point all alone. Yeah, you just send him down Main Street.
That's exactly what they're going to do. Pop him on the point. Oh! Rock just took a rock. Unlucky. There's the Flux. Perfect setup now for Doha, but he can't quite reach anybody in the sky, and the rally's going off as well. Is that Immortality Field landing on top of FD God's head? Now this will end up going down to the Bob. The pressure was a little bit too much for him to handle. FD God also falls, but that armor is still on Sparkle, which is the person you're really going to have to look out for. Now Doha just finding the resets, chasing the rest of the DPS and support line away. A ball for Ben Best to get back onto the point in time. XE was caught in the back line, tried to get the high ground, but ends up getting taken out by Doha in the back. 3 minutes on the clock for the Fuel to get this point. And now Doha trying to take care of the Immortality Field. He does just that. He's just on a solo mission at this point. A 5th kill for him as he kills off Sparkle. No finishes off Humben as well with a rock, as they still are trying to stall out. Ben Best keeping himself alive for a long time. FD God eventually gets cleaned on up, and that will be the point. Similar time banks for the Dallas Fuel as well, as they net themselves 2 minutes on their next offense.
Well, Bob is so good. And I talked about him being a resource sponge on King's Row, I believe, because it takes just so much to deal with him. Do you even want to put shots into him, or you just wait for him to fade away? But you saw the accretion went out on the Bob, who was sitting in the corner. Bob counts as a person, because yes, that's the world we live in. Bob is equal. And he goes down to the point, starts putting pressure on it. Someone's got to go deal with it. You don't want to give up a free tick, but he's able to cover that off angle. The accretion goes to him. That means there's no accretion for the Dragon Blade about to come out. And even though the Flux and Blade didn't seem perfectly precise, I think the dash was used before people got up in the air, so kind of had to go ground Genji. But Bob's covering all the back angles, and Doha can just pick him off there. I love Decay just sending it right down the center. It's like, okay, deal with this. Send all your resources in, and then here comes a Blade.
Yeah, and everybody got split too from the Eternal. You saw X, he was on the high ground, of course looking over the point, and then he went back down to the archway going into the second point, and Doha was able to easily take care of him. One of the better duelists in the game, Genji for sure, especially with the Shuriken buff. You can do so much more damage with the right clicks now as it's more consistent, as the spread has been reduced. One of the reasons why Genji is kind of back in, because the damage is a little bit more consistent, especially if you have good aim.
Yeah. Genji in this composition is really important, especially on Last of Hanamura, because no one else can really go get the high ground and deal with that right there, right? So everyone's on the point, and you're behind double shields, and maybe XE just starts cleaning up, but in this case, you have Doha just dashes up and takes care of it. A lot of the times, I've talked about that top point as being a checkmate position when you get a hit scan long-range DPS up there, but now when a Genji's on the field, because of this extreme mobility.
That's me and my mobility, there it is. Yeah, and getting the armor back too is kind of a nightmare to deal with. Another halt into a dash. for Sparkle, earning a fair bit of ult charge, but Doha waiting for the rest of his team to kind of rotate, and then Paris focusing their attention on the shields. He was able to get a bit more done.
Doha is on the flank now, and I don't know if anyone sees him just yet.
Oh my word! That's a lot of incoming damage. I think that was a few spheres from Hanbin, and then Sparkle kind of finishing him off. Perfectly timed dash. Now they're going to have to wait for the reset, and this is awful now, because Crimzo is going to be behind Paris Eternal.
Yeah, Fielder's only 2 meters away from his team, and that's isolated enough.
No, are they even going to let him? I mean, Crimzo is now going to have to fight from spawn. It's going to be awful to deal with. Oh, he's doing a little bit of surfing. They can kind of see, you can kind of see him hanging by the gate. It's going to be a while before he actually makes an effort to get back to the team. Big dynamites too. Those right clicks are landing from Crimzo, but it's just not enough. And he gets LOS'd, or the rest of his team even get LOS'd. And Hanbin was able to clean them up. There's so much splash damage coming out from the rock and the left click, it was almost impossible for them to deal with him. Now Dallas Fuel on 20 seconds remaining needs to get back to this first point.
I mean, Genji is such a great hero at dealing with medium to low health heroes when they're taking damage. So if you hit a giant dynamite like that, the dynamite and the burst damage that comes with that, and then you start getting dashes, you're going to get resets. Down to it for Dallas. They're going to hit everything they got.
The window is so good. Oh, and Bob's going through the window too. Almost took out Doha. That was close. Doha's on the point with the Blade. The Blade is going to time out in the end as Gamsu takes care of the Bob, but Sparkle pulling the Blade of his own. Not quite lucky enough to match up against Gamsu, but they don't get on the point. They got halted off. Gamsu goes golden at the last possible second, but wasn't able to touch. Oh, it looks so good from the Fuel. Gamsu had not only taken care of the Bob, but he also took care of Sparkle, who was blading. And now Paris have such a clear win condition to put themselves a match point in the series. 2 minutes and 12 seconds to find 33%.
And they can't lose. That's always a nice feeling. You can play a little bit looser then. You're definitely not going to lose. Of course, you want to pick up the win, but a draw is the worst thing that could happen to Paris right now. Really nice halt towards the end as it looked like it was swinging in Dallas Fuel's way. I think there was a Bob out that didn't get to the point. I'm not sure. There was a lot of chaos there towards the end, but you're right. Now Paris, they just need 33%, and you can bide your time with 2 minutes. I always say if you're going to switch heroes, switch it to at the 2-minute point, because that's when you're going to be able to make sure that you get ultimates. If you don't get ultimates in 2 minutes, then you're probably not playing well enough. So they can just bide their time and wait for a Blade. I wonder if they... I thought maybe they might go just for an Ana here, just to try to set up that condition. But Brigida's pretty good.
Yeah, Brig's pretty good. She got changed recently, of course. That'll be in the Overwatch League patch at some point. So the armor is no longer existent from the cookie, from the armor pack, or the repair pack, sorry, when you get overhealed. So it's a big change. I wonder if Brig still be meta. We'll have to see, of course, later down the line. Peak potential for Exi, as he's now on the Widowmaker. Saw him roll out with this before, if he can get that high ground, and it's going to be up to Doha really to distract him long enough for the rest of his team to do the damage at the front line.
Maybe get a halt into a headshot. Halt into anything. I mean, this is pretty much how a lot of the Orisa comps work. Frag halt there. Paris able to get out of it unscathed.
Yeah, it's basically a mini Graviton Surge at the end of the day. The Halt Dragons, of course, from London a long time ago now, it feels like. That's a big Halt. Doha's kind of hitting straight into them. Yeah, dash reset, and then that will be it for the team fight. Paris Eternal gets almost completely wiped there, apart from Exi, who's kind of sitting off to the side. He might just go down if he's not careful. He can back off rather far away. Yeah, Doha doesn't really want to test it. I wouldn't test Exi either. It's a long straight corridor for you to dash down there, and the rest of the team are coming up rather soon.
Well, Dallas won that fight handily, so now they're going to have ult advantage. If you're Dallas Fuel, you really just don't want to end up layering these over themselves. Maybe use one to win it. I wouldn't even mind a Blade here, considering how fast it's been charged.
Oh, no! Yeah, there's no mercy available either, and Axi's on the high ground with no one to really deal with him, and Sparkle's going to go jump to the back and kill off Note. It's all over. It has to be at this point. That was the perfect pick. Doha and Blade double dash back to the point. You ain't going to reach, son. That's going to be it. The perfect pick from Exi on the Widowmaker. Nets Paris the point and the map. Match point in the series for them now, as well as Hunt being caught in the sea line. Wouldn't quite call it that. The Dallas Fuel definitely could have made it back and maybe contested, but What a play from the Eternal. The one pick that they needed. You said they maybe need to switch over to Ana, but if you have Exy on your team or the Widowmaker, normally it's easier than that. He can get himself onto the high ground, and Doha, without the Reflector, without a life, wasn't able to get that blade off in time.
Yeah, and Dallas had everything that they needed there for it too. They'd won that first fight so handily, getting a 5-0 and getting all of their ultimates up. It looked like they were in great position to be able to kind of bring those out one by one. You start a fight here, you win a fight there, and then just put Paris on the back foot. But one shot can change everything. It reminds me a little bit of the BQB shot on Rialto, where he killed a pulse bombing Tracer right before he got his team. So in Overwatch, a single Widowmaker shot can absolutely define a fight. That's what it was there. Doha had been playing great, had Blade ready. Can't Blade from spawn. I mean, he can, but it's not great.
Can, it wouldn't it? Yeah, you get the double dash, you get a little bit of space and a little bit of speed, but you ain't getting back just to touch the point. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. Will that define the series? I'm not entirely sure. Dallas one map away now from getting knocked out, and Paris heading their way to the quarterfinals. We'll have to wait and see how it goes down after this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Paris one map win away from securing their spot in the quarterfinals. Dallas, can they bring it back? We'll have to wait and see. We're jumping into the next map. It is going to be their choice as well. So they're going to choose Watch Point Gibraltar, and a couple of subs coming in too. But before we get into that, Genji versus Genji Hex. We finally got to saw it. Doha versus Sparkle, old teammates, which do make the best rivals more often than not. And Sparkle, hey, more Dragon Blade kills, definitely what he's best at. Doha looked like he was getting more kills without the Dragon Blades. The kind of solo picking people off on second point of their offense was really what led the Dallas Fuel to actually end up capping second point rather easily. That's what secured it for them, but you can underestimate Sparkle and the flashiness with the blade.
Getting 5 more kills on the blade is enormous. Maybe Doha would have caught up there if it weren't for that one shot that happened. But it's really interesting when you see Tracers and Genjis at the highest level. It's all like really small differences of play style. Of am I ground Tracer, am I cracking shields, or am I solo Tracer? And it's very small, but well, I mean, we'll see that maybe later today. We are getting some substitutions here. No one is in just yet, but our map, we can tell you, which is Dallas Fuel's choice, is Watchpoint Gibraltar. So we would expect a dive composition, at least from the tanks, you would assume, because I think No Smite's coming in from Paris.
Yes, he is. Ben Best out, No Smite in. And for the DPS role, we've got Doha stepping back and now Only God coming in. So I think it will be dive, because, well, it's Watchpoint Gibraltar. So
yeah, you need the high ground control. It always ends up on the blue box up top. It's just where the tanks are always dueling. Usually Baptistes are posted up there. The first fight really only takes place once the cart hits that bend on first point usually. So that's what we assume on this one. Again, it's Dallas's pick because they had just lost that map. They have a decent record on this one and not great records on some of the other maps. So it makes sense for the pick. It's actually made sense all day. And it's always a debate that teams are, do I pick the other team's worst map or do we pick our best map? I think you always go with your best map. It's what you practice on. You don't want to pick someone's bad map just because you think they're bad on it, unless it's like an atrocious 0-16, like Houston on Route 66 at one point, something along those lines. But this makes a ton of sense, and it's been a close series. It's been super close except for Kings Row, which I think Paris just kept their lineup in because they thought, oh, May and Reaper could be good here, but they didn't play it optimally on defense. But I think this is still anyone's game, and I think it's really smart that Dallas had brought Onigod into the fold and give him time with the team and be able to gel with his healers and tanks so that you have this flexibility of rotating in damage dealers.
It was going to be an uphill battle for sure, regardless of how you looked at it, to be fair. For the Dallas Fuel, I want to see Onigod and Decay. This is going to be Onigod on, I can imagine the Tracer, of course, if they do want to run out dive, and then Decay on the Genji. I want to know how they're going to run their support lineup, because we're definitely going to have an Ana, like there's no question about it, but you could also run the Lucio on the high ground to make it like pure dive, like we're just running at you into the back line and you're going to die ASAP. Xy's actually running out on the Widowmaker, and it does look like a Brig as well. I don't think you need the speed as much on the defense, and you could also argue because there isn't too much ground to cover on first point because you just end up taking high ground. The Lucio isn't needed per se, but someone like FD God would definitely suit the Lucio because his Lucio is just kind of ridiculous. But it's kind of up for debate. But Brig, I think you mentioned it before, Hex, is just actually too good not to run. And stopping the dives from landing on Xy's face and insta-killing him as well with the armor pack is going to be key for them.
Going for the halt hook.
Oh my god, they actually got him! They actually got
Sparkle! You know better.
That deflect, and Crimzo a lol in the chat. Sparkle's like, how? Same, because I heard the deflect noise come out, but it must have just been the frame of it coming through, but it didn't count. Oh, that sucks for the Paris Eternal. Oh, Sparkle's going to be kicking himself for that one, and they're going to claim so much space now.
That's tough, yeah. You can't really even hold this first box now. You can't put pressure on the back line, so it's going to open it up. And yeah, I thought this might be the reason they wanted to put Onigod in, is because I think Paris was dead set on running a Widow. It's always been such a great Widow map, and you have to have a counter Widow for it. It allows Decay to run the Genji.
But how's Onigod? Because obviously there's a bit of ping difference here too. I believe Onigod is still in Norway, so Widowmaker on ping can be kind of dicey at times, especially if you're going up against someone like Xy, who's just an absolute menace on the Widow.
But it can also be dicey to it can also be dicey to play against.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Fortunately, we are still online. One day we'll go back to land. Do not worry, guys. Server room is being currently contested, or will be contested, sorry, in a second. Guangzhou and No do end up running to the back. That's what you want to see. Instant dive. No reaction possible at all from the Fuel. Crimzo even sent out the Nano. I'm not even sure that hit anybody. I think that actually just got cancelled straight up. Onigod will end up falling as well, and now the payload is in contention by Guangzhou, who's going to end up falling back as well.
Yeah, they tried to push the corner, and actually really good play from the Paris supports there to get a nade, get a bunch of healing, but mostly FD got it with the whip shot. Sent the Winston a pack-in and a fly-in, and already, this is a weird thing about Gibraltar. It seems like one fight goes by and we're down to 2 minutes already, although Blade and is out for both teams.
Blade. You see him jump backwards there as well, making sure he didn't get whip shotted. 1, 2, 3 swipes on Paintbrush will kill him off at the end, and he dies the backline as well. Manages to find Crimzo. Gets taken out by Guangzhou in the end, but it shouldn't matter all too much. The spawn position from the defender's side at this point where the cart is whatever, to be honest with you. There is going to be size unlocked as well, as Decay has Blade. Question is, does he actually want to wait for this Nano? That is the question.
Even the primal.
Rage is kind of being pushed back as well.
He got forced into it. He was about to die.
So, Rally coming through too. This is just a disaster for Tay. He has to wait for Nano at this point. There's no way he's going to be able to get through all this armor, I don't think. Although Sparkle and Hanbin do end up going purple, and Sparkle and Exi are in trouble. But Sparkle still manages to find a kill in the back line. Regardless of how much pressure is on top of Sparkle, he still finds kills in the back. And now only 1 minute remains, Hex. This is absurd defense from the Paris right now.
It's 2 words
the
for
Paris,
Dallas. Nano, Blade. That's your win condition immediately. Sparkle at 60%. There is a Nano on the field for the Paris Eternal, so depending where Sparkle gets, Paris might end up just tossing this onto No Smite or, you know, probably your secondary target. But Nano Blade is going to be ready for the Dallas Fuel. They could also rally on top of it if they want to throw in. Yeah, the early Nano on a No Smite makes sense.
Yeah, and then Exi also clicks on Only God. I mean, now you're 45 seconds remaining. You have Nano Blade, but you have to wait for 6 because Gamsu needs to be alive. And Paris Eternal are going to have the Blade too. And with this Blade, you can almost commit yourself completely to either Paintbrush or Crimzo and hopefully find a kill. And then they're distracted away from helping Decay succeed here.
Yeah, there could be some tank ultimates that shut down this Blade as well. If Hanbin can get a self-destruct, that can really ruin a Blade's time. Blade in the server.
There's the Nano. Oh, he doesn't find anybody. Oh, he does eventually. Oh, my word, that was close. 2 kills for Decay as Exi and Fielder end up going down. It's going to be good enough for the time being. Sparkle also ends up falling, who pulled the Blade eventually too. But Crimzo still managed to find the kill. Man, Crimzo is on an absolute tear this series of finding kills. And Decay dies? What?
The explosion was under the cart.
Yeah, under the payload. Yeah, that was the weirdest angle imaginable, and Decay ends up falling, but they're still contesting the payload. But the sights you can see,
Paris
kind of everybody huddling around the doors. Hanbin's coming back on the board to contest for even longer, and even Sparkle in his famous Doomfist as well. An instant kill into Paintbrush as he was naded and couldn't heal himself and couldn't rely on the healing from Crimzo. Ends up falling to Decay, who's jumped back on the Tracer to get to the point in time. Spots out Exi in the sidelines, manages to find 2 kills, both DPS for the Paris Eternal, now dead. No Smite is also pretty low, but a Rally and Nano being thrown at the Paris Eternal front line. A sleep onto No Smite is going to be clutch as Crimzo is still alive and well in the back line. Decay ends up falling, but they still need to contest the payload. No Smite's doing a good job of it. He ends up managing to contest for this entire time. No one forcing him out just yet. In fact, no one paying attention to him. Sparkle takes out Paintbrush as he eventually pushes Note off, but gets slept and instantly killed by Crimzo. Hanbin finds some revenge, but OT is still ticking down. Self-destruct on the point to force everybody away as they try and clear off the ball, but Hanbin is refusing to move. Eventually building himself up towards mines, but doesn't quite get there in the end. Decay throws out a pulse bomb as well, but finds absolutely nothing. Exi is now back in the fray as well. No Spy pulse to Primal Rage to stay alive for even longer as OT ticks through in the end, as they eventually clear the fuel away. That fight lasted for longer than this entire round, Hex. As ults were traded backwards and forwards, the mines weren't available, but Primal Rage was, and Note was on the point for like 20 minutes. That was a heck of a defense from the Paris Eternal. Crimzo and Decay were carrying, or attempting to carry so hard. Crimzo slept the Nano Winston. Decay killed both Sparkle and Exi on the Doom and Widowmaker as Tracer. Oh, Fuel.
Paris just did enough to get trades, though.
They're rattled, mate.
Yeah, Exi was hitting enormous shots. No Smite had himself a hell of a round on the Winston, using the Nano, forcing people out, getting everybody low. The self-destruct that ended up actually killing Decay underneath the cart was a little bit brutal. I thought the self-destruct could mess up the Nano Blade, but that didn't happen. Paris just uses their spawn position. They get trades and eventually get enough to knock them off. But No Smite's Winston looked pretty nice there. I mean, it helps when you're nanoed, of course. You're able to play it really well. But I think just great play on both sides. It hair's edge either way. A missed shot from Exi, and it could have gone a different way. But as it stands, Paris Eternal 1 point of Gibraltar away from moving on.
Oh, yes, they are. Oh, I just can't. I don't know how I'd feel if I was the Fuel. I feel devastated knowing that fight just felt so in the bag. Can they hold them off for longer, though? That's the question. Exi is going to be a little bit more than safe on the offense here. There's so much pressure coming out from No Spine. You can see where Decay is playing. He wants to be able to get on top of Exi, so Only God has an easier time, but Exi's playing so aggro, like, it doesn't even matter.
He's doing good damage. Nice little headshot there. No Smite just got, I believe, stunned or slept and deleted. I think he got slapped. There was some Z's there. But yeah, that's a reset.
Oh! What? Where's the question marks, Decay? What was that? Okay, so now, without that pressure, Xe is going to just be able to now pay attention to Onigod. They both trade body shots, but look at the space that they're now creating. Nanoblade's going to be available soon for the fuel, though, Hex.
Yeah, that's your condition. Xe's also going to have sights, which can really help Blade in target acquisition. If there's an Ana hiding out or a Brigitte that you don't see hiding with that Ana, super helpful. But they're a little bit away from that Nanoblade. Dallas is going to have it first, I think. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Sparkle has now got a Prime Rage and Rinsen to build his blade off of, and now just touching the payload. No, he can't really kill the Winston, so it's actually just kind of sitting there. Xe clicks 1, Note 4s. Hanbin is going to kill off Onigod as well, and now you can hear the clock. Nano Blade for Decay. He has to come up with something big. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Can he find the 4th? Sparkle is also with the blade in the backline as well. Kills off Crimzo and paintbrushes the door to the Genjis. But Gamsu able to suppress Sparkle long enough in the Mega Pack room to kill him off. Self-destruct on the point for the Eternal as the Dallas Fuel now to roll back on from the spawn. This is going to be a close fight. It's up to Fielder here to tip the tables for the Eternal. Not quite able to get back in time as Hanbin's mech ends up getting destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, the Nano is still available, and now Paris is just going to rally in and play on the ground, but Hanbin out of mech really hurts them. It was a late kill, but he gets back in a mech.
He got on the pack that entire time, Hex, and the rally was going off as well. He wasn't going to fall. Onigod gets killed off by Xe. The Widow on Tracer duel, won by Xe for this time. Sight's now available for him as Sparkle is building up a blade just a bit quicker than Decay can. And they have server room control too for the supports and Xe.
Another blade about to come out. Xe on an uncontested angle here.
No one can touch him at all. You see now the supports are now going to get bubbled off too. There's the blade for Sparkle, kills off No. Can he find anything else? No, he can't. He gets smacked around by the Brig, the Nano Brig, mind you, and the Sleep Dart. They end up killing him off, and now they have a blade of their own to fight with.
Yeah, this is looking all the way bad for Paris, actually. They don't have much, and Dallas has everything, but we've seen how a single shot can eliminate that. An interesting switch here from Xe. He's going to go over to the Sombra. With only a minute left, it's possible to get to an EMP, but hacking just a Genji or a Tracer usually can eliminate them.
Throwing one of the Sangs. Oh, there's a pulse bomb. Oh, over and out! He does manage to get FD God. Didn't find the stick, but it landed on the terrain. He stood in the AoE. Blade for Decay is ready. Nano from Crimzo not quite there just yet. I can imagine they're just going to wait.
Play this patient.
Yeah, they have to. Realistically, Paris are going to have to touch. The kite is rolling back as well.
So Paris can get in here with their tank ultimates, which were so important in them being able to hold on in that last defense. They're going to have both ultimates up, and it should buy time.
Oh, the sleep! Fielder he managed to sleep in, and Crimzo managed to get the Nano off as well, but not quite in time. Sparkle finds 1 with the reset dash onto Crimzo, and now he's building up towards a blade. Paintbrush falls to the primal rage of all things, and the Paris Eternal was swinging this completely in their favor. Fielder with the sleep was absolutely massive. Onigod may be able to get back with a pulse bomb, but it's looking so desperate for the fuel. The EMP comes out, Gamsu falls, and Sparkle pulls the blade, killing off Crimzo in the end, and Paris Eternal erase the fuel on the first point of Gibraltar, and we'll see them in the quarterfinals.
And what can you say about this Paris team? People stepping up absolutely enormous. We spent so much anticipating Decay and Doha and Sparkle, and maybe Xe is the biggest X factor that Paris had in this. The Paris tanks go nuts, and Fielder hitting that dart probably just saved them that map. We might have gone to 5 if that Nano Genji gets off, but they hit the dart, they don't wake the Genji. A lot of players stepping up outside of the damage rolls for the Paris Eternal, and they played well to the map's strengths, bringing in No Smite, who played an excellent Winston, and it's still the support line. I mean, Fielder crushes, FD God plays serviceably when he's not on the Lucio, that's what you need. And then, I mean, I hate to say, the X Factor ended up being Xe there. He hit shot after shot, probably won them Hanamura. Wow, this Paris team is dangerous. When they're playing at their peak, they're super, super dangerous. It's no shame in losing to them if you're the Dallas Fuel.
That is just a ridiculous map. That felt like it could have gone all the way to the 3rd point, considering how long both teams were able to stall out for OT. Just an absurdly close game. And yeah, like you said, I don't think you could be ashamed if you're the Dallas Fuel, to be fair. Paris are definitely a tough nut to crack. and that kind of proved it there. They've got so much depth on their bench, it feels like. If they want to run the kind of May Reaper, they can. If they want to run something Super Dive and have XD on the Widowmaker, hey, they got that in their back pocket as well. Our player of the match, though, presented by Xfinity, is going to be Hunbin on the Sigma. Surprise, surprise, his Hanamura performance was just absolutely stellar.
Yeah, his Hana was great, I think, early on in control. I think he had a couple of 3 pieces there on the cleanup for the Sigma. And Sigma in the double shield meta is so important, but then also is able to play dive with this squad, move over to the Diva when needed. Yeah, Hunbin Sigma, it's the moment we saw the very first control map, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, Hunbin can play some good Sigma here. And he's got a very, very high pick rate. The only time you're not picking Sigma is when you're running a pure dive composition. So it double shield up with a Rhine, double shield up with a Orisa. But I think just hitting primaries, hitting accretions, he led his team in final blows on the first map. A team with really good damage dealers on it. So Hunbin, much deserved player of the match.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I mean, I think you could easily give it to someone like Sparkle or Exy as well. It's sometimes fairly hard to choose when you're choosing an MVP or player of the match for Paris, that is for sure. But Paris now advanced to the quarterfinals. Of course, their fate is going to be decided by one of the teams that gets to pick them. I think that's one of the funnest things about the showdowns, is that someone like Spark, someone like Shock could pick the Paris Eternal. They could pick whoever else is going to win today. It's all up for debate, and there can be a lot of BM going backwards and forwards as well. We've got another match coming up for you, though, soon. We've got a rematch. We've got the Outlaws facing up against the Florida Mayhem. It went very close last time around. Florida Mayhem did manage to deny the Outlaws the reverse sweep on map number 5. But don't go anywhere, guys. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you in a bit.